Welcome to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex and today we're taking a look at Arcade Spirits The New Challengers on the Nintendo Switch. A follow-up to the award-winning original entry. Is this one worth your time and cash? And how does it follow up with its new cast? Well, hit subscribe, join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and let's get started. Arcade Spirits The New Challengers, then it picks up with a new cast of characters over that first entry. That means no experience required from that first game to jump in here and enjoy. There's still though enough references in here that pop up for fans of the first. We even see some characters return from the first game, though for spoilers' sake I'll be avoiding most of those outside of Hamza, who plays into a fence relatively quickly. The story here though places us in the role of a new character, and now we've moved away from the arcade idea which the first embodied and into something a little more high stakes. That is, a character that wants to go pro on the esports circuit. They are looking to join a pro sports team like their friend and rival in this world. The game of choice, that is Fists of Discomfort 2. It's a beat 'em up game essentially, though 2 versus 2. While it continues the cyberpunk-like future tone in 20XX, games as before are presented as 2D pixels that are reminiscent of the retro scene, and it's a nice contrast with discussions often revolving around classic games and pop culture. Quickly though, we see the return of Iris, our virtual digital assistant from the first game, though now it's established her tech is very much illegal. Her job help you capture your dreams, and she'll be tracking your personality along the way, and that is based upon your answers. That also in turn tracks your opportunity for love interests. Again though, like the first game, romance is completely optional and it can be bypassed, but we do get 6 characters on offer. When it comes to this entry as well, pronouns have been far expanded beyond just he, she and they, and we'll get to the character creator deeper in gameplay. The first game, it was very much though a romantic comedy. This one goes beyond that. It feels high stakes, more like a drama, though with a romantic comedy, backbone. It's just one element though, and it led to something I wanted from the first game, which was a cast of characters that were less one-dimensional, so it's definitely great to see. I described the first cast as the muscle, the dominant and so on. Here, characters, they have traits still, but we get to see a range of emotions now. We get to see that as just one side of their personality and not all of it. I found myself quickly invested in their success though of rising to the top of the leagues. My personal favourite characters though of this cast are Jinx, who has a more metal-esque vibe to her look, but she's actually quite a complex character to unpack, and then a close second it would be Loxley, who is permanently in Robin Hood cosplay. It's not all just about the tournament either. Like the first game, it addresses themes of conflict, including that within the team, with friends, competition, mental health and personal issues. There's a much more sizable supporting cast in this one as well that come into play, but it makes this world just feel more alive as you often travel from location to location. Everything I've said then, that's just the first 4 chapters from 8. Around halfway through the 4th chapter though, we enter what I would consider spoilers, so I don't want to ruin that for anyone watching today. It is good stuff though, an entire level set almost around a cliffhanger. If the first entry was a love letter to arcades, then this entry very much has its finger on the pulse of the current gaming landscape, with themes like cosmetics, battle passes, loot boxes and the gambling behind them. It's punchy writing that packs some great humour, and sure, like some moments can be cheesy, even a little too extended, but overall I was impressed, and again I was really getting behind this cast. Watch out then as well, of course, for a ton of pop culture references like the first game, movies, Domino's Pizza, Five Nights at Freddy's, to name just a few of the early examples. That was one of my favourite parts of the original, and that statement stands here as well. The only real issue I noticed outside of, the extended dialogue at times and some of the more cheesy writing was, and this is minor, but the game's set in 20XX, but whenever that pops up in dialogue, it's just 20x for some reason, so I imagine that will be fixed up with a very minor patch. Gameplay then, and being a visual novel, there's not a huge amount to it, but it definitely expands beyond the first, of course. Iris is a key element of the gameplay, and that's the same here. She will be tracking both your responses as well as your romantic interests. Pressing the X button brings up the menu to display this, and it's basically reading traits such as gutsy, quirky, and so on. It's the same 5 areas returning from that first game. Different characters though respond to different choices, and that's where the romance comes in. Opening the game though, in fact, you can have the symbol associated to the tracking to kind of direct your dialogue, or you can even then go in blind and play without it, which is definitely an option I would like to check out. Also, we see the introduction of what are essentially intense moments that have a bigger implication on our character. I'm still not sure, like the first, I really see the impact on our character as such, but the impact on those around us, that is, I felt a little bit more clear this time around. This game, it also features considerably more dialogue choices, which is welcome, allowing me to engage with the game more often. As before then, we do get the option here to skip dialogue and autoplay, the latter of which I always opt for. The menu, it also has some handy options around the speed this text plays out at, which is a welcome inclusion as always. Outside of that then, we'll also be playing in the tournament for Fists of Discomfort 2, and I'm not going to say it's deep, but it's basically rock, paper, scissors, though I will say with some tells around what the character says, and then also the time of day in game. Surprisingly enjoyed these moments. It made you feel, like part of the team. Regarding conversation as well, then finally for the gameplay, the good side of it at least, as you load into each level, you'll typically have an opening dialogue exchange, but then you'll be presented with a map where you choose who you talk to next. It's not a visual novel that's entirely just reading only. Problems with gameplay then, it all works just fine in the core experience. The only thing I would say, the menu, it can feel a little bit laggy in its response time, but realistically, you won't be spending a huge amount of time there. You won't also find an autosave, it is manual or between levels like the original. And then finally, the character creator, it is again just weak. One face, but they've basically expanded it slightly, a nose type now, a few hair options, a few bodies, the pronouns as I mentioned. It's better, but still far from what I would call great. Also, I noticed a bug in the launch build, which is you choose your gamertag, your first name, your last name in this creator, but no matter what you put, it puts the gamertag in all places. So my name ended up being Switch, and my gamertag was Switch. I had wanted the name to be SwitchCorner, but it would not allow me to do that. Graphics then, and it's quite the step up from the first entry. I always enjoyed the character models in the first, but I feel like they've really dialed up the detail and it's nice and crisp. The biggest jump, it's got to be the backgrounds. The original game, they were pretty low detail. Now they match our characters and it feels more like they are actually part of this world. I did find then visually the menu was a little tough at times to navigate. They love neon, this team, but it may have been overkill here, and I never thought I would be the one saying that. I just found I was getting lost with what was selected. Also then, problems wise, again like the first, I wish the characters had more animations. It's all pretty static. Audio then finally, and it feels like they've improved here too. Voice acting returns, so again it's only a percentage of dialogue, not all. Think key moments, but I felt it was better delivery this time around. This is no doubt something to do with the better script, but Domino was a highlight who appears to be channeling his inner Jeff Goldblum, and that goes for the writing with the character too, not just the delivery. This time then we still do get the occasional 2 or 3 words, which confuse me at points because it never has any relation really to the dialogue on screen, but this time there's always sound. At least the first had a habit of going near silent, while this one has a soundtrack non-stop, and that is of the synthwave variety, and that is personally just an easy win in my eyes. So the final verdict, and I enjoyed the first entry, and I think this for the most part the step up I wanted to see. We get a new cast that falls beyond their primary personality trait, and then the story has an air of drama at the forefront rather than simply playing out as a romantic comedy, with a constant shift in location as well. Just found it more visually stimulating and easier to focus on. The minigame even seriously simple, but for me that created then immersion. Problems, sure, the name change is a little skewed currently, the menu's a little laggy, and the writing, it's not perfect with some areas being a little slow, But this is absolutely a step in the right direction, and fans, you should be checking it out. I gave the first game a 7 out of 10, that video is in the pinned comment down below, but this one, it's going to be a great 8 out of 10. Genre fans then, you should definitely be coming here too, and remember, no experience required of that first entry. Will you be adding this one to the library then, or holding onto that cash? A shout out then to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.